Hello there, and welcome to episode 12 of the Not So Casual Gamer podcast. My name is Sam Christensen, and joining me, as always, is Lewis Cunningham. Lewis, how are you today?
Hello there. Well, apart from oversleeping 2 days in a row, which, if anyone knows what that feels like, it's not ideal. Fine. Excited to resurrect the lost episode.
Yes.
We're doing
this is for those who don't know, we had a technical mishap. I think it was episode 4 because I went back to my notes. A good while ago. So I feel like we've left it enough time that hopefully we're not going to feel like we're just copying our exact conversation.
Well,
which is good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just sat this morning actually and tried to recall, obviously, the main things. I feel like I've pretty much, if it's not totally the same, it's going to be very similar. I know that I've probably thought of one or two other things that I didn't before, but it's quite a casual.
Well, also, I'll forget what you spoke about. You forget what I spoke about. There'll still be a bit.
It's all good.
And I've actually got some updated things since I made that list that are no longer regrets, which is quite cool.
They're fresh.
And also, I must say that we're also sitting very relaxed just now. We've found a way to not do this at like a table. And this is our first time on comfortable seating. I've got one of these podcasty boom arms that I think that's a technical term, that I'm now a real podcaster. So I'm sitting back in a chair and the mic is at my face, which is delightful.
This is, heavily relaxed.
I like it.
So
I'm so far, how long? 1 minute and 50 in, I'm having a great time.
I'm just trying to
get the exact
optimize my positioning here.
Yeah,
it's a work in progress.
Well, let's start a little bit with what we've been playing, because I've actually got quite an interesting one.
To
talk about. I didn't have anything to say in this section until last night. I've really not played much since we spoke last. I didn't even play Red Dead. Do you want to know why? Because I put it in and I was like, oh, this game looks great, and then it was 30 frames per second, and I went, oh no,
interesting.
I will power through that. That's not going to put me off it. But I was kind of thinking,
I think it would just be like an adjustment.
It would just be an adjustment. I just need to play it for like half an hour and I'll be fine. But it was more the fact that it plonked me right in the middle of one of my save files. Yeah. Not the one I'd completed, and I kind of not forgot what was going on. It's fairly easy to remember, but I'm thinking I'm just gonna call it and start from the beginning again. Anyway, really hadn't even been playing that much either, because
you still playing Warzone?
Well, we were playing Warzone, and then our sort of one of our squad mates, as it were, Richard, was away on holiday, and we played some like Rebirth Island and stuff, and I played with my other friend, and more like afternoon games. But Kerry and I were kind of just taking evenings to like catch up on watching films that we hadn't seen for a while. We went down to Blackpool all together, which was fun. So this is now a theme park podcast. So we
right then
we rode the icon, and it was great.
If you know, you know.
You know. And I didn't get back pain from going on all the old rides. I almost did on the steeplechase, but anyway, I'm diverging on a tangent. So anyway, this is such a long story. But anyway, we hadn't been playing much Warzone this last week. Richard came back on like Friday. We played some games on Friday.
Yeah,
they were okay. They were pretty hectic. I've just decided that Friday and Saturday nights, like the lobbies, are just like way too difficult. It's crazy. Like the difference between like a weekday night and a weekend night is crazy. So we were playing last night and just nothing was really going our way. We didn't do well at all. So I just decided to kind of call it quits at 11:30, and I'd randomly.
This is really late last night. Oh,
this is late last night. This is literally like the 11th hour before the podcast. You know what I mean?
A wild. What's the word?
A wild discovery appeared, or Pokemon appeared, or something. You know.
So spontaneous.
Oh my goodness! I'm so spontaneous. I had downloaded it earlier in the day, and just thought I'll get to it when I get to it. But this is like so much anticipation.
The suspense is killing me.
Have you heard of Splitgate?
Not at all.
Get this downloaded, man. We need to play it together.
Is it free?
It's free. It's in beta just now.
Okay.
It is. Let me tell you the tagline. the tagline that they've been using. It's Halo Arena Shooter
Okay.
with Portal.
Oh.
So you've
Wow.
got a portal gun and portalable surfaces that take you around the map, and you're running about playing Halo.
I think I actually did briefly see this pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
It rings a bell, but
it's taken over. Like, it's so popular on
One of
like
these.
Twitch and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
free, and I played it probably. It was just myself, no social aspect to it, and played it probably for like 2 hours last night. Just
Wow.
was like just one more game, and I was actually like for me, I was actually quite good at it. I don't know if it was just like their skill based matchmaking is just like is non-existent, so I was just like in lobbies with people that didn't know. But I feel like my extensive knowledge of Portal actually helped.
wait, functions. The portals actually work in the same way.
Exact same way.
Wow. Okay.
Exact same way. And like there's nothing more satisfying than like shooting an enemy, not getting the kill, running away, opening a portal. You've opened one behind him, you open up another one, he's running towards you, you just come out from behind him and just like take him out.
I almost feel like that would be some sort of IP infringement or something. Okay.
They're literally tagging it as Halo meets Portal. It's hilarious. But
Fair enough. I will certainly give it a try.
it was only like 20 gigs something to
Yeah.
download, so it's not much. I definitely would recommend that we play it because it was
Oh
it was,
yeah,
it
no,
was
I'll
good
definitely
fun.
give that a
Really
shot.
good fun. So like I said, I didn't have anything, wasn't playing too much, and then actually had quite an exciting thing to come to today with that. What about yourself? What have you been
Well, yeah,
what have
no,
you
I
been
mean, it's a similar story. You know, it's definitely been a bit of a lull for us.
I think
which-
we just got like we did so much on the Xbox, you know what I mean?
Oh no, well, I said that last time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely entered into a burnout phase, i.e., not playing the game Burnout,
not playing
but
Burnout Paradise
having been
Remastered,
burned
yes.
out, and that really only kind of just became more so
Mm-hmm.
since then. I've really not played much at all. Played a little bit though. Not there is something to talk about in that really is just finally getting round to finishing Oxenfree.
Oh, interesting.
Which,
Okay.
yeah, no, because, you know, I got that for, and I think you did as well, 79
So
pence.
79 pence, yeah.
But a number of months ago, I was like, well, it'd be rude not to, almost. Because it's one of these kind of, you know, indie adventure games, 5 hours long. Just
Perfect length.
Suits me, you know, it almost doesn't even matter what a game is. If it's 5 hours, I'll try it, you know. And, you know,
Two sessions, three
I
sessions.
quite enjoyed it. Even despite picking up halfway through, like months later, because you know there's not that much to it really, and yeah, no, it's not. It didn't blow me away, but I enjoyed it for the type of thing it is. You know, nice, nice visuals and kind of intriguing story and kind of that sort of thing. So you know, kind of makes me a bit excited for the next one, which
I was
they've
about to say
announced.
there's the sequel. Yep,
Which I will wait
absolutely.
until that is 79 pence as well.
So we'll check back in like 5 years or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
But other than that, I can't actually think of anything.
It's been
honestly.
No, it's been fairly. It was like just kind of Warzone, but not as much for myself. I had a number of wins after a lull of not winning by changing up and playing with a sniper more, which is quite fun. So I've been
That's fun.
Been enjoying that. You know the big array tower in in Verdansk.
Yeah, the big giant.
Big giant massive like sheet of metal
You
kind
would
of thing.
think it's a giant billboard without a billboard or something.
Yeah, it's like based off like Chernobyl or something like that. There's
Yeah,
something like that there. We've had like 4 games that have like ended up there, and we've had our
Oh.
snipers up the top of it, and just like and won like 3 of them. It was great. Like
Wow.
it was so it's
It's a
almost
tactic.
it's almost become like right. We need to get our snipers and then get up to get some self revives.
Game plan.
Game plan. So yeah. Nerdy Warzone talk over because there's actually not much to say, which is good.
There is going to be a free to play episode.
Yeah, it was going to be today, and time has just gotten the better of us. Well, we've been sort of doing up our flat a little bit as well, so for the living room, and we were going to do a free to play like sort of battle royale episode, and just why did it become so popular? So quickly. So we'll save that for another episode, and we'll talk about that down
Yeah,
the line.
no,
So we
we've-
decided to resurrect the lost episode today, which perfectly segues into the episode itself. So
yeah, no, I'm quite glad that we're doing this one properly.
well, it was a good episode when we did it.
Well, I know, and I'm hoping that most of it will be there.
Yeah.
And I actually, to be honest, I like to think of it more as gaming shames rather than regrets.
Shamings, yes. Gamings, I don't know.
Because I think before we even start, that there is one big caveat, because this could end up just being lists. You could almost just interpret this as list of games we have not played, which is not what we're wanting to try and do. That's not the point. It's because there's loads of those.
We could literally just go through the PlayStation Store and just go, not played that,
not played that,
not played that, not played that.
So yeah, obviously to actually try and make this more of a coherent thing, I think the point is that it's either big zeitgeisty games that many people, that they're sort of almost universally liked.
Yes.
That we either don't get on with or have a hot take about, that we actually don't like them and we have reasons for that, or it's like, let me just bring up my list, okay?
Because the list is arriving,
because it is important. Or it's, for me, the other side of that is I've sort of deliberately never tried to go back because they are either too old, too kind of antiquated, to be able to enjoy them the way that they originally were intended to be, and following on from that, a good few of these are rumoured or are going to be remade or have been remade in some way, so get round to it at some point.
Yep.
But I think that's important as well. But yeah, no, I did also sort of do a bit of another side list of just some examples of stuff that I haven't played them because they're kind of just not up my alley.
Yeah. I've got the same kind of thing. Yeah,
like JRPGs and stuff. So
well, we're shared in the list. Let's just start off the bat. It's a good example. So we've both got that kind of on our list here. JRPGs. What I'm going to need to make sure that I don't do in this episode is going, as we said in the Lost episode, because you've not heard the Lost episode. So going forward, this is a new conversation.
It never happened.
I'm not going to refer back to, and I'm bad for that. Or if you listen to the last episode of the podcast, so this is it. So JRPGs in general, right? So I think, I don't really know what doesn't. Let me think. How my opening gambit for this is that I don't really know why they don't appeal to me. I can't tell what it is. Is it the gameplay itself?
Yes.
Is it turn-based? Well, but it
is for me.
It is for you. But I'm thinking for myself, is it turn-based? But is it though? Because I really like. Well, I've liked Pokemon in the past. I know that's baby's first RPG or JRPG. I really enjoyed South Park Stick of Truth. I liked that turn-based combat. So I don't necessarily have...
I would say that those are examples that they've deliberately gone out of their way to have crossover appeal, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think, they succeeded in being what they are, as in like quite simple turn-based JRPG in style in terms of the gameplay, but it's not really about that. It's about the Pokemon themselves and being excited about them, and it's about the humor
of South Park. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So gameplay is obviously one thing, but I think it's a general. This is not a racist comment. No, you can't say that, and then it's not. No, but like it's that kind of Japanese anime.
Oh, it's the culture.
It's the culture. Now, that I'm not to say that there's no way, shape, or form saying it's a bad culture. It's just not culture is such a general, because the food's lovely, the people are great, blah blah blah. The locations are lovely.
Everybody knows what we mean.
We mean the weeb culture is what we're talking about, really.
Well, it's weebs that have gotten into this in the West.
In the West, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, so maybe it is looking at it from more of a Western lens than sort of taking it for what it is from the country it's from. But there's definitely a kind of, just like Kerry watched an anime, like the only one that she was able to get into, and she showed me the first episode, and I was like, I just can't with this.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. It's an acquired taste, whether it's it's the kind of the really cringy, overly dramatic kind of reaction noises they make. Or it's just the sort of I don't know. It's just because it's so different. The look of it. It's all very particular. It's like if you it's the same as if you don't like olives. Some people like olives. They're acquired taste. You either get it and it clicks with you, or it doesn't.
You know what sums up my opinion of like Japanese kind of JRPGs, or just like sort of anime based games in general, is that time when every press conference at E3 had a Kingdom Hearts trailer. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yes, no.
And there was something weird with it. Was only score, like music, and reaction noises and dialogue. There was no like action noises. There was no explosions. There was no impact noises. So it was like orchestral score and just 3 minutes of people just going and then gorsh, like Goofy coming in the background. So that's what I see when I play Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I tried to do. I played it for like 8 or 9 hours, which I know is like, oh, you've only scratched the surface of this JRPG because they're all 700 hours long.
Right, and that's another thing.
It's just too much. Like it is. There's a commitment that you need to make to JRPGs in general. I mean, like you look at the sort of the way that like Dragon Quest XI's broken down. It's like, you finished this storyline, but you need to go and do it all again, but everything's a different color now. I don't know.
That is quite a Japanese thing, though, as well. A trope that not even the JRPGs, but even the likes of, we talked about Kojima and what he did with MGS5. They love to put in the most extreme levels of replayability, which, for obviously someone like me, I'm just like, oh no. Well, there's no way I'm giving you 100 hours of my life.
That's it exactly. I think that because it's not in a lot of the cases. Now I'm not too educated on it, of course. That's the whole point of this. But in a lot of cases, it's replayability, not a long game. If that makes sense, like to discern between the two. Like as far as I'm aware,
there's usually a lot of grinding,
or. You've played that storyline. Now play it from this other person's perspective, but they were in the party and you were going through the same locations, or you're backtracking, or what I mean? So
the thing that makes me think along those lines as well is that much like another thing in that kind of offshoot list that I've got that is not even really relevant to the main ones that I'm going to talk about, it's things like RTSs, right?
Yeah.
Where I just find it so dull to go and grind, to then go and like make this HP number bigger on this little drop-down menu that you're then going to select when you're in a battle. Like that's so boring to me.
Well, is that then a regret, or is that just like
exactly? But then I was just about to
because you don't regret like
no, of course I don't regret not playing these,
and I don't like an RTS.
We've already spent so much time on.
No, but I do regret something like Final Fantasy VII. That is a regret for me.
Why? Because it's fundamentally the same thing that you've just described.
I know it is.
Because I don't. I know what you mean, right? When
I think it's the zeitgeist level of it.
It was they did a really good job of making it seem like it was something that everyone should play. Oh, look at this, because it looks incredible. The production value of it.
This is the remake we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably the most highly produced JRPG that has existed to date. And I just these days need to remind myself, like, just don't be swayed, don't be drawn in by production value, because that's not what a game that does not make.
Yes.
It's like really good icing on a game. And yeah, sure, some games are more about it than others, like some of our favourite ones, but they tap into that in a way that makes sense for us. But I think that level of production is just there because it has to be. You can't just keep releasing a crusty old RPG and saying, here's your new Final Fantasy.
Cool. So maybe it's not my gaming regret is JRPGs. Maybe like in general, maybe it is more. For me personally, something like Final Fantasy VII, I wanted to like it. I don't really know why.
Well, you did give it a shot.
I did give it a good shot, I wanted to like it. Mainly just because of the sort of level of hype and sort of conversation that was going on around it. I kind of just wanted to be a part of it, even if I wasn't going to engage in the conversation. I kind of wanted to just have a little bit of knowledge. It's such an important part of PlayStation history, gaming history,
yeah.
and you know.
No, absolutely, and I think with a lot of these as well.
I'm not saying that my regret is like, oh, I wish I played Dragon Quest 4 or the Secret of Mana or Trails of.
Listen, there's no way you're going to go back and play Final Fantasy VI on whatever that's on. I don't even know. I can't keep up with all that. No. But you know, a lot of these, the point as well is it's important to note that it's not ones that we've just not played that we regret that we've just missed them entirely. We've actually played a lot of these and realised these aren't for us.
Yes.
So that's more on the side of shame. I guess we can use that in a sort of, you know, light-hearted way. As in, well, here's some notable ones that just we don't get on with.
So it's we could maybe sum it up as if we were to mention these in conversation to someone who was a mega fan, their reaction would be, "Oh my goodness, you've not played Final Fantasy VII." You know, like if someone was like, "I've not seen Star Wars," and I'd go, "You're not my friend, then." You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what we're saying.
All you can do is give these things a shot. And if not, that's also fine, because who has the time to try everything?
Exactly.
We make a good stab at it, but
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I even in the past, I've tried an RTS. We brought them up. I tried Halo Wars 2 and went, no, thank you, and then turned it off.
I think if you can't get into Halo Wars, then you're probably never going to enjoy RTS.
No, and that's absolutely fine. Well, one of my regrets in the last episode was missing out on things like Halo, but that's very quickly in the space of a couple of months.
I almost feel like you've spoken so much about
I'm not going to talk anymore about it.
We don't actually need to.
No, but it was on the, not to refer back to the Lost episode too often, but it was on the Lost episode.
That is quite cool,
and
though.
It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not a regret and I do enjoy it and that's fun. So I'm going to move straight on from that.
Just the last thing about Halo for me, that, and you know, this might be disappointing to some, but it's on my side list, whereby, okay, yep, those are big ones, like, well, Halo 1 and 2. For the most part, are the important ones that I've not played, and I don't intend to, just because they are obviously, you know, straight up shooters, pretty classic style shooters, and I'm not massively into shooters anyway, so I'm kind of like, I don't think I would be that engaged if I went back and tried to play 1 and 2. I'm happy just when the new one comes out and kind of trying that for a bit. That's really all I need from Halo, I think, at this point.
I'm really looking forward to the multiplayer of it. Like the response from the
should be fun.
Sort of the flight, whatever they're calling it. It's not even a beta at all because it was just against bots. But the sort of what people are saying, the feel of it, like it's getting very.
No, it looks good.
It looks great
for what it is. You know,
I'm looking forward to it. But I've got Splitgate in the meantime to scratch my modern Halo itch. Which is good. And I'm still enjoying going back and playing the classic Halos on multiplayer and stuff like that. For sure. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about Halo until I've physically played the next one. There you go. That's my promise to you.
I'll accept that, and I'll be there with you when it comes out.
When it comes out. Nice. Okay. Well, actually, here's an interesting one. Mass Effect.
That was once again the first one that I wrote down as well.
First one I wrote down as well, Mass Effect.
Now I've got quite.
We just to preface, our list isn't fully shared. So far, it's been quite shared, but it's not fully shared.
There'll be a lot
of crossover. But with Mass Effect, it's since come out the trilogy, and one of my older points. And I'm already referring back, but it's a point that I do want to make, but I don't actually agree with too much anymore, even in a short space of time, is that it was like sort of sci-fi, like I struggle to get into sci-fi that isn't Star Wars, and that's kind of not as true anymore. And I've literally said I wasn't going to bring
broken the duck.
You know what I mean? But even still, I've literally just said the time's passed. I've just said I'm not going to bring up Halo anymore. But even Halo, I criticised the first one for being quite a sort of clone of Star Wars in a number of story beats. Of course, there is differences, of course. It sort of went away from that, but the way I see sci-fi is that, you know, a lot of it is so influenced by Star Wars, and Star Wars was obviously influenced by a lot else. I've only really got time for one universe. Thank you. You know, that's kind of the way I see it.
Or in your case now, two. Halo
Well,
and Star
I know,
Wars.
but I'm not going to turn around tomorrow and have a Master Chief tattoo. You know what I mean? So it's
No.
it's not to the same
Yeah,
not to
okay.
the same extent. Those were just fun games to play. Yeah, definitely not the same thing for me. But with Mass Effect, there is obviously so much of it is story based. Now, of course, Halo is as well, but you can't talk about Halo without talking about multiplayer. But you talk about Mass Effect for the story, the decisions you make, the characters that you come
Yeah.
across. But actually, the thing that's put me off most about ever trying it on the collection is I don't want to play 3 Mass Effects in a row.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
just too much.
I'm too late to Mass Effect because you could argue, oh, but here's remasters in a single package. This is great. But if like for the likes of like BioShock, the only BioShock I hadn't played was 2 before the collection came out, and I played 1, 2, the DLC for 2, Minerva's Den, Infinite, and then the Burial at Sea DLCs. And the only ones I hadn't played out of that was 2 and Minerva's Den. Played it all in order, and I was fatigued on BioShock by the end of it.
yeah, and that's not
You
even
know,
a big open
and
world.
they're not that long a game. And now, don't get me wrong, it was really just towards the end of the last DLC that I had played already, and I was like, I'm ready to not play BioShock for a while. Not to take away from how great they are, and that's not to take away from how great Mass Effect is, but 3 Mass Effect games in a row, and then you could go, well, Sam, play 1 and then don't play 2 for a year, and then come back and play 2, and then don't, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm not going to do that.
It's always quite hard and strange to get into a mindset like that, though. Mm-hmm. For me, that sort of thing has to happen naturally.
Well, it seems like there's like too many hurdles already just in my mind. I'm not saying there is. There's actually less hurdles than ever to play Mass Effect, but in my mind, there's too many hurdles.
It's always a lot of what ifs and buts and whatever, but it might be the case that when, you know, because they are working on a shiny new one that's coming out in a few years, maybe I'll be interested then, but I kind of think I probably won't be, because it'll be a bit of the cyberpunk effect, whereby it's just like, this is now just too big for me. I don't have the patience, because you know it's going to be enormous.
Oh,
The next Mass Effect game will be egregiously big. And I'm not there. And I think, so my point for Mass Effect mainly is, my regret here is that I wish I had played it in the past.
what, you know, on release and
Well, maybe not even right when it released, because the first one was, 07, still a bit of a dumbass then, was not very good at such games then. I was only kind of just finding my feet with the likes of Oblivion and stuff.
yeah, of course.
Not even really scratching the surface very well on that, but you know, maybe even a few years later, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it more at the time, because obviously, as we've discussed a lot, you know, in those kind of mid-teen, late-teen years, I had a lot more time for bigger games, because for whatever reason, it was just, that was the time to sink into those things and get really, really immersed, and be all there for the 50-hour to 100-hour experience. And I think I probably would have enjoyed it then, and maybe been interested in keeping up with it. Well, I mean, Andromeda was what it was. I mean, we don't even need to really go into that.
But even when Andromeda was announced, I was like, okay. Like, I know people were excited, and I
Yeah.
know people were then disappointed, but I remember when it was announced, we were watching the conference, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to play it.
And it's interesting because
Because it was a new story. Do you know what I mean? It was
Well,
like,
yeah.
you know, it would have been sort of connecting things, but it would have been a perfect jumping in point if it was good, but
it just didn't have, I don't know, for some reason Witcher 3 allowed itself to be that for us. Mass Effect doesn't. I'm not really sure why. Just something about that game is, even despite the fact that they're huge, something about the kind of the gameplay of it has never looked that appealing to me.
no,
don't know
I
why.
agree. I mean,
know why.
speaking of like Witcher, I mean, commend them on that. We jumped in at 3.
I think, to be
3.
fair, a lot of people did.
A lot of people did. It's not just us. And it was as coherent and deep and engaging on the third entry. That's incredible.
To me, Witcher 3, if I was to jump into that, right, versus, it just looks a lot more exciting and interesting than Mass Effect. Mass Effect just looks quite bland.
Well, I think Mass Effect, and now, of course, this is from us looking down surface level. I know Mass Effect fans will say it's not. It does look generic sci-fi. And then you could argue, does Witcher look like generic fantasy? But I don't even think Witcher really does look like generic fantasy. Because it's so obviously like Eastern European in its approach. It's not Lord of the Rings rip-off to me. It is its own thing, and that's not to say that Mass Effect is Star Wars rip-off, is Battlestar Galactica rip-off. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Just on a surface level. That's the way it's always come across from a gameplay perspective. Now I know the more you get to know the characters and the relationships that you grow with your favorite characters, I know that's a massive part of it. But it is a part of it. There is still a I'm not saying that's not a game, but there is a game around it. There are shooting mechanics, there's cover mechanics, and it always just looks
looks boring to me.
Yeah, it just looks like
it just looks quite just a bit flat, a bit slow, a bit kind of just there's not much. I always try in my head. It's like I always have analogies to different things. So like music, there's just not much dynamics going on.
Yeah,
ebb and flow. Whereas in Witcher, you've got, I don't know, it just seems to ebb and flow. You've got magic, and you've got you can feel the combat a lot. And I don't know, something about Mass Effect just looks. I can't think of any other word, but
more like Ass Effect.
Well, maybe we should just leave it there and not insult Mass Effect fans.
After just calling it Ass Effect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I brought up Mass Effect. I know it's one that's shared, but if you'd like to move us on.
Okay. So, I mean, I've got a few sort of headline ones that, do kind of stand out. And you'll remember from last time that one of those is most Nintendo games.
That's...
Or the modern ones, at least.
That definitely, to me, knowing those games, I understand why that is more of a regret than... Or maybe I'm projecting. But you regret not playing those games, just like... Fun.
Okay, so it's always been the same for me. I'm not ruling out that I'll never play these.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's one of those things like CM Punk ever going back to the WWE.
Dub.
There's always a chance, but at the moment we're very far away from that happening.
It's slim to none.
But I do have fond memories of older Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
I have loved Mario games in the past.
Yeah.
The absolute, pinnacle of that being the one that I've actually finished being, New Super Mario Brothers on DS at the time.
Yep.
When that was 06 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just an absolute classic barnstormer. Like, that was Mario to me. Doesn't get any better. That's just the distilled experience of what I have in my mind of just refined Mario game.
Well, one of the issues with the 2D games of late is that they've really not progressed since that one. That was that changed the art style, to that to the modern Mario, 2D that we know, and nothing's really changed since then. The games are all stellar. You could jump into the one on Wii U that is now on Switch. You could jump into the the new Super Mario Brothers on Wii and have as good a time. But that was the first one. That was the one that kind of made that jump, that innovation for 2D side-scrolling Mario. I really enjoy 2D side-scrolling Mario, but I'm actually quite bad at them.
Oh.
Weirdly enough. I don't know why. No, that's what I'm saying is, I'm not saying I'm dying on World 1-1, but, there comes a point in a lot of them where I get so frustrated with them. Weirdly enough, the 3DS one, I had no problem with. Don't know why, but like the one on Switch now, I know that there's people out there going that they're really easy, and that's fine. But like those last couple of levels, last few worlds, and some of the bonus, like the Star Worlds and stuff, I'm just like, nah. And any time there's ice, like World 2 in the Switch one has ice, and I'm like, nah. Like, I then try to like rush it too much.
Guess you have to just click into a rhythm.
Well, when you do, that's when it works. So 3D Mario games have always stood out more to me, but that's because like my first experience was Mario 64, and
you know, even I've got quite oddly fond memories of that game.
Yeah.
Even though I've not personally played a huge chunk of it myself, I have obviously played bits and pieces, and I think I did have it on the DS when they released it on the DS.
It was
at the time.
the DS.
Never
version.
finished. I don't think I finished it. God, it was so long ago.
It's a hard game to finish as a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but even back when it was current, when you're going over a friend's house who had a 64 and kind of, it was quite a wonderful thing at the time. It was like, oh, this is quite
it was my
magical
first experience of Mario. My brother had it for the N64. That was my introduction, really.
Absolutely.
That. So that was kind of mind blowing. Even not having much prior experience with video games to that, you could tell straight away that it was the quality title. It was,
Absolutely.
it was a game changer, even if in my.
And you know what? In terms
mind.
of the other main ones, even like, you know, having the older Game Boys back in the day, I also had Pokemon.
Yep.
Could never really get into it. I mean, I sort of didn't really know what I was doing even then, at the age of 5 through 7. I kind of gave up on Pokemon pretty early on. I was like, this is not...
That's fair.
I knew even then, at a very early age, that I really did not like turn-based.
Yeah.
It never made sense to me even then. I was like, this is boring. Why would this be what you wanted to do? And that's just obviously been a really massively hardened thing in my head.
There's a collection aspect, obviously, to Pokemon, though.
Yeah.
That scratches like the itch of, you know, having high-level Pokemon and...
Well, like we said earlier, it's about the Pokemon, and collecting them, and that being a whole thing.
Because it's a game of rock, paper, scissors at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, so...
Well, yeah, that's in its
it.
most crude form. Turn-based is kind of that, isn't it?
But I think Pokemon's even more egregiously so. You know,
yeah,
you are fire, so I am water. You know, like.
Well, hey, you know, it is what it is, and I tried it. I can't. Yeah. I can't sit here that I say that I've not ever played a Pokemon game.
Would you call that one a regret of the Nintendo games?
No.
I
think it's more that so the regret side of it comes from some of the more recent sort of renowned examples, and I think
like sort of Breath of the Wild and
right. So the main one, and to this day I don't think I've ever so much as laid a finger on a Zelda game. I've literally not played a single second of a Zelda game. That's kind of the main one. Again, I'm sure I will before I die. I'm sure I will.
I'll make sure of that.
Yeah, I suppose Zelda. Yeah, that's the main one, and I think the Zelda games speak for themselves.
I think honestly, I think you would really, you would really enjoy Breath of the Wild, for example.
I think so. Yeah,
it is. It's maybe now just a little bit too long for like where you are just now. But if you were ever wanting a good quality open world game that's very creative and physics based and take it at your own pace and do whatever you want in it, that's the one you should do. And when that day comes, you can have my Switch. So,
you know, I know it's always this maybe quite a controversial angle to come from. I was having a conversation about sort of like along these lines with somebody on Friday there. So, you know, they're a Switch owner. And
I hope it wasn't being recorded for a podcast and you're cheating on me.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. But, you know, they're someone that plays Nintendo games as well. And I sort of thought, I was like, I think I would probably quite enjoy playing the modern sort of wacky Mario 3D games and the Zelda games on trucks.
Okay.
I think I would actually, that would probably be what I was, they almost seem like they're maybe made for those inclined that way, like, okay, we've got something for you. But not necessarily, because obviously millions of people enjoy them without that. But I'm saying for me, that might be the gateway that makes me, I don't know.
The gateway game for drugs.
Yeah, you know, that I just thought I would add that caveat in there, because it's a thing.
Well, on the line of Zelda games, one of my regrets, and it is a regret that I'm wanting to alleviate ASAP, is never having finished Ocarina of Time, because I really like Ocarina of Time.
Is there? Is it? Are they? Do you think they'll remake that?
Oh, they absolutely better.
Well, because they have done like HD ports, haven't they?
Right. So they did. My brother never had it on N64. That's kind of the reason why I never played it as a kid. Now, I do have one way of playing it, but actually currently I technically don't. Just by my TV. I've got my GameCube, and it's in. I've got a second disc in my Wind Waker copy that is Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
So I can play it. And when I was a stupid young kid playing Wind Waker, I was like, why would I play this older, cruddier looking Zelda game when I've got the new one? Not realizing that it is like the highest rated game of all time and is gaming royalty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of let it pass me by when I was knee deep in GameCube, you know. So,
which is a console I've never owned.
I still love my GameCube. I don't have it set up, but I've got it in the flat, but it's in a box, and I don't think our TV has SCARTable natures. I think you can maybe plug in like one of those adapters into like the AV thing.
Convert it.
Anyway, I've not tried it yet, but I might. So I don't have a readily available way to play. I had they remastered it on the 3DS.
Right.
Effectively just put it on the 3DS, and that's where I played the most of Ocarina of Time. Probably played about a good half of it.
Yeah.
If it's about 25 hours to beat, probably played 10, 12 hours of it. And had a great time with it. For some reason fell off, don't really remember. And then I sold my 3DS to buy my Switch. So, and then I was like, well, they're gonna come out with Virtual Console on the Switch, and they haven't yet. So there's two ways that I think that I'll be able to play Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time. There are two ways that I think I'm going to be able to play it. And that's either if they get their finger out and release a 3D All-Stars Zelda package for its 35-year anniversary, which is this year. They did it for Mario last year, which was its 35, and that was Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, which was great. I really enjoyed playing those. Played more of 60. I didn't complete 64. Actually, you know what? Sorry, other tangent here. Didn't complete 64 on my Switch, or Sunshine on my Switch. I completed Galaxy on my Switch, but I didn't complete the first two because I was waiting for I want a Mario game to play on a plane when I finally get to go on holiday again.
That's fair
so
enough.
I'm saving. They're so easy to jump back into. It's muscle memory for me, you know. So I'll be able to do that, no bother, and have fun doing it. So I kind of wanted to save them. Anyway, I'm hoping they release a 3D Zelda collection. I'm hoping it has Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Wind Waker on it.
It's got to be the. I mean, what other ones are there?
I mean, there's like Twilight Princess, which was the kind of GameCube Wii crossover, and Skyward Sword, which is out separately just now.
Why can't it be all of them?
Well, but the only reason I'm saying that is because they only put 3 Mario games. Why didn't they put Mario Galaxy 2 in there, for example?
Yeah, okay.
So if they're going by 3 games, just on track record, it's only one. The other way that I might be able to play it, they've released the NES collection, like with Switch Online, that's free. That like they update with NES games. They did the SNES one, and then if they do an N64 one, they'd have to put Ocarina of Time on.
Based on what I see, the way that Nintendo are moving right now, it seems like a shoe-in almost.
I definitely think that I'm going one way or another. I will be able to play Ocarina of Time on my current Nintendo handheld, even if it's not up-resed. I don't need it to be a full remake. Remake it and make it look beautiful. That's lovely, but I'm not too concerned that I'm never going to be able to finish it. But as it stands just now, that is definitely a regret, one that I will alleviate ASAP Rocky.
Well, you know, that's the thing with games, because a lot of them are such big time commitments, doesn't make you a bad person if you don't finish a classic game.
Yeah.
I think it's a unique, there's not many folk that watch classic films only halfway and say, I'm good, I don't need to see the rest of that. Doesn't really work
First
the
half
same
of
way.
Shawshank was great, and I just fell off it.
Just don't need to see it. Yeah, that's kind of one of the interesting things about games is, well, as we've said before, quite often the endings leave you a lot to be desired. Anyway, you sitting there going, "Is that it?"
Oh, Gears of War 4. That's probably a regret that we actually stick around to the end. But
it's all about the journey.
that was pure comedy.
Well, I mean, that's obviously Gears 4 is I don't think going to be remembered as a timeless classic.
We'll do a timeless classic 2.0 episode in 10 years. Gears 4,
we just didn't know at the time. Oh my god!
Didn't know at the time.
But anyway, to bring it all back round to my regretful side for Nintendo. With all that being said, I think it says a lot about the power of Nintendo. Just because even as someone who sort of actively has avoided them for the best part of 20 years now, more even, I still have a sort of decent chunk of memories of Nintendo games. I mean, obviously I've usually at other people's houses again, I've enjoyed Mario Kart. It's fun. It's a fun party type game to play. Even again, when I had my DES briefly, tried a Metroid. Although that was the weird sort of 3D one they did at the time, and that was the only Metroid game I ever played. And
I don't have much experience with Metroid. That's not really a regret as much as it is just. I had Metroid Prime on the GameCube. I was too young for it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get it at all. I'd never played a first-person shooter, which I know which it is technically. I just had no idea what to do in that game. So that was just me being too young. I mean, I got the GameCube when I think I had got Metroid Prime with my GameCube, and I was 8. So I just didn't get it, and that's fine. And I know, if I played it, if I was older and played it, I probably would have, almost definitely would have loved it. I'll see if I play like Metroid Prime 4. There is that new Metroid game, the sort of side scroller one.
That one looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool.
That's the sort of thing I would definitely give a shot if I was able to.
Yeah, well, if I end up getting it and enjoying it, I'll pass the console over to you for that one as well. But I think if it's anything like my enjoyment of games from other genres, I'd probably end up enjoying like a 3D Metroid more than a 2D one.
Yeah, it'd be
interesting. I don't enjoy 2D games. I do, but it has to be very specific for it to jump out. But 3D Mario games, I would play over a 2D Mario game, and I know that's sacrilegious for some people, but it's just my preference, and that's and this is my podcast, so I can say whatever I want, and that's fine.
There we go.
Let's move away from Nintendo for a little while.
We might have to do a part 2 on this. There's no way we're getting through all these, or we could do the sort of quick fire round.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of quick fire ones for sure. This is actually one that I've kind of spoken about, not obviously in the Lost episode as well, but Metal Gear Solid for me. I'm not going to spend too long on it because I have
mentioned series. You mean
the series in general? Just been a regret of not playing, and a lot of that comes with just not having it as a kid. So there's no nostalgia there, meaning that it's really hard to go back to the original versions of those games. They're dated. I've tried.
There's surely not many children that had nostalgia for me. Like, how would any child know what on earth is going on at any point ever in those games?
But people do, and a lot of people played them, of course. Mainly a regret because it wouldn't have necessarily been a regret until I played Death Stranding, to be honest, because I was quite intrigued by Death Stranding. So I was like, well, I want to, this guy's clearly a unique voice in storytelling. So I'd love to know, what's going on in his mind in a longer, more convoluted series. But it's just too inaccessible nowadays. I know there's like HD remaster collections, but starting from it was just I just had such a bad time playing it. I think you can't. Maybe it's not a massive proclamation, but I just don't think you can go if you've never played them before and have no nostalgia for it. I think it's past the point.
No, they're
anyone.
Very difficult to go back to.
I know you started middle of the series.
Yeah, my So I actually do have it written down kind of as well.
Yeah.
But really just for the first one.
Okay.
But then again, like the thing we touch on so much of the time, there's not much I could have ever done about that, because that isn't a full on PS1 game. That okay, it was remade on the GameCube.
Yep.
But again, there's no way I would have ever played that.
Even if you had a GameCube, I don't think it would have been
Probably not.
Cross your radar.
So I think specifically for me on terms of the first one, there's rumours of a remake, a full-on remake.
I'd love that.
So I would absolutely play that.
Yep.
So I'm kind of just waiting for that, really. And much like, probably in the way that the Resident Evil games have been remade, in that way where it really, really does modernise it. And for RE4, same situation for that in terms of, I'm kind of just waiting. I'm not gonna play the original now.
It's funny, but with our situation with 1, for example, with Metal Gear 1 or Metal Gear Solid 1, I should say,
Metal Gear 1 is a whole other kettle of fish.
A kettle of fish. The funny thing is, if they really modernized 1 and made it more akin to 5 from a camera perspective, from a gameplay perspective, I think there'd be like fan outcry. But we would be sitting there going like, actually, this is better for us. This is better suited. That's good.
I think they would do if this actually ever happens, is they would, much like the Halo ones, they would let you flick back and forward. Mm-hmm. I could see that happening.
Final Fantasy VII has a classic mode where it is turn-based through and through with the stat menus and everything. It's not real. It's not like, what it is, action.
I would say that there's a good shout for that. RTS, so maybe even for you, if they were to do that and it would be a more accessible Metal Gear Solid game for those reasons, maybe you could just rest easy knowing that that's the only one that you'll need to play. Like, that is your Metal Gear Solid experience. You've been able to get your foot in the door. Because let's be honest, they're not going to... Well, they might start remaking the rest of them, 2, 3, and 30 years, 4, maybe. I don't know. But I feel that's really, really unlikely at this moment.
Well, I feel like if they were to do, for example, like 1, 2, and 3, maybe I'm just being ambitious here, I could go back and play 4, no bother. Mm-hmm. Try playing 5. Didn't love it, I have to say. Just didn't really... felt bad. Well,
it was one of, on our overrated episode, that was a real headline one.
Gunplay wise, stealth wise, I don't know. I know that I didn't go too deep into it, and I know you can get so many more tools, and I know but I just think it felt quite clunky to me, and the open world was really not interesting to me at all.
Absolutely not.
It was very, very boring. I would have much preferred it if it was a more linear experience, for sure. I think I probably would have played it without really knowing much of the story by now, and would have been actively trying to find out more about it if it was more linear. I think that just the way it looks really was a turn off. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I've spoken about it in other episodes. If they come out with a remake of 1, like you said, I'll be all over it.
Absolutely.
Give it me now.
Yeah, I'd say that's quite a straightforward one to discuss.
Yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid series for both sides
of
our stories, I guess.
Our storied stories.
All right, well, I'm going to continue this train with another interesting overall series, kind of. Well, this is actually more of a style.
Oh.
I think you know where this is going. Soulsborns.
Oh, yes.
Now,
yeah,
this isn't on my parallel list of, well, I don't actually care because I'm not going to play these, yada, yada. I actually do regret it because I really wish I could like these games.
Me too.
It's always pained me because I've tried, we've talked about this, I've tried multiple ones, multiple times. And every time it's like, this is the time.
Is it?
It's going to click this time. This is it. And it never
You got as
happens.
close as ever before with your last time on Bloodborne, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually got reasonably far in Bloodborne. I was quite proud of myself. And I probably could have kept going, but not without blood, sweat and tears, which at that time I was not prepared to give. I think it might have been when I had it downloaded. No, because it's on the Plus collection.
Yeah.
So it is there to try, but I mean, maybe if they bring out the patch, which is 60 frames.
Yeah, it would help.
or it's like a native PS5. Like there might be something that makes me try these again. And of course, there's the Demon's Soul remake, which is so shiny and enticing. But as we mentioned earlier, you can't let that be the reason.
Nope.
You cannot let that be the reason.
You almost let it be the reason.
Yes, I did.
At the beginning of the PS5, I do remember.
And you know, even still, I could have done it with the CEX voucher, but I made the right decision in getting the Xbox.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Well, so my thing with the Soulsborne games is actually I'm not pining after Dark Souls. I think that game actually looks not great. I don't mean visually, but just like, to me, I know the difficulty is the big thing with that one, so I do understand that, but that world doesn't interest me. The lore of it doesn't interest me. The sort of, you know, even the enemy design, and it's just quite like the sound design, like, you know, there's like the whole package doesn't interest me. What does, Bloodborne a little bit more, but not even, was Sekiro. Like, I thought that game looked so good, just from like how fluid the sort of grappling mechanics and movement a bit more. But I mean, I've heard that's the hardest one because you've got more movement options. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
crazy.
Everyone says that every other game is the hardest one because
the one that they're not good at is the hardest one.
Right, yeah. because
so I can play Dark Souls 3, but I can't play Bloodborne, kind of thing.
And I think it's like a sort of speed thing in terms of what your preference is for how you get on with each one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a faster one, so I'm better at it.
Well, I think that's why, like, with Dark Souls, it's purposefully slow and clunky. Mm-hmm. That's the point. And that really doesn't sit well with me for my tastes.
Well,
like, for combat, I'd much rather it be much faster and fluid. I really enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order, but even still, I had to bump the difficulty down. There was times I had to bump it down to the easiest one.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't have the response time, which is odd because I feel like my response time's actually half decent because of like first person shooters and stuff.
But it's very different.
Very different. It's like parrying, like the timing for parrying. I'm just like,
it's very much more of a drawn out kind of concentration timing thing rather than a sort of twitchy, you know, always being on the edge of your seat type thing. It's much more of a methodical. It's
there's a
just so hard.
There's a massive difficulty jump between easy and normal on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I would say too much of a jump.
It's unfortunate.
Which is unfortunate because I wanted a little sweet spot in the middle for myself. And I know I'm coming across as a, you know, bad gamer because, you know, Souls fans would laugh at me for saying that normal was too difficult, but I'm a Star Wars fan. I want to play that story, and the lightsaber combat's great, and the animations are great, and all that. So you know, I'm glad that they made it more accessible to someone like myself, because it would be really bad if they made that like a get good game and it was Star Wars. Like that couldn't happen. Yeah. But like the difference, let's say normal to me is not as hard because I was still able to play a lot of it, more so than any Dark Souls game or whatever, Soulsborne game. Normal got quite tricky at certain points. Easy mode was an Assassin's Creed game through and through. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was too much of a sort of difference. I would have rather had the normal difficulty with slightly more health. That might be a way to put it, where the shots don't take, or like a hit doesn't take like half or 3/4 of your health off. Maybe the health reduction of easy, but with like the parry timing and the, you know, enemy aggression and of normal, which isn't necessarily too hard. But if that makes sense, that would have been my sweet spot. The difficulty of normal with just a bit more health or less damage taken when you take a hit. Anyway.
Well, that is, but obviously with the sort of, not to disparage the Star Wars one, but the true nature of like the real, quote unquote, real ones, that the true Soulsborns, is that they don't give you the option of difficulty. You're just supposed to get on with it or not. And the idea of the satisfaction of overcoming it is always really enticing. And in terms of Bloodborne being the main one for me, that I always found that world and atmosphere really just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the ultimate kind of nightmarish gothic setting, and just the atmosphere they create with some of the things that NPCs might say, or the sound design is just really kind of nightmarish. I love it, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just not good enough. I don't have the. Clearly, everyone knows my patience these days is very limited. Like you have to do a really good job to hold my patience with a game. I'm kind of always looking for the next thing, so I just can't commit.
It's a patience thing for me as well, because there are definitely even times where a game isn't that hard, and I'll just die at a boss, and I'll just go like once and go, I don't want to watch that same cutscene again. I don't want to backtrack.
Some people say that
turn off.
With the Demon's Souls remake, that the fact that the SSD can load you in immediately after dying actually now makes it more palatable, and that's something. But
you're talking yourself into it. Oh.
Well, no, listen, when it goes down in price enough, or if in years to come they give it away on Plus or whatever, I will try it again.
Yeah,
I will. I know I will.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Maybe even I will, just to see how good it looks, and then there'll be like 17 other games that look better.
Exactly.
By that point in time, so
it won't even look that good.
Won't even look that good in comparison's sake. Well, yep. Soulsborne games. That's definitely. I wouldn't even say it's one for me, to be honest. I wouldn't say it's a regret. I'm just not good at them. I don't feel like I'm missing.
Yeah, that's definitely a more so for me one.
Definitely, here's one for me for sure. The Bethesda game Studios Formula. And we'll call it the Formula, because I'm including Fallout, I'm including Skyrim, I'm even including Outer Worlds, which I know isn't a Bethesda game.
Absolutely.
It is a Bethesda game, like, without being one. There is something...
Obsidian.
Exactly. There's something about them that really appeals to me, and then an equal part of it that is the exact opposite of what I want. And I think
a conundrum.
It's so weird. I've played Skyrim. I've played the beginning of Skyrim like 14 times at this point.
Everybody has.
Everyone has that. Oh, you're awake.
Hey, thief, or whatever.
Do you know that that's a... Sorry to divert. Do you know that that's like a meme template now? That like a video happens and like someone gets like knocked out or something, like, and then it... like the screen fades to black and then it opens
Skyrim,
up.
Genius.
I mean, that's hilarious. But I think the most I've played Skyrim, I think I played about 20 hours, 25 hours.
It's a good whack.
That's a very good... when the PS4 version came out. It's just too... There's too much. It's too big. I just get overwhelmed by it.
Really?
Like,
I don't remember you
odd for
giving
me.
that reason before.
When
Skyrim.
Maybe what I mean by that is when there's a choice to be made, I'm worried that I'm going to make the wrong choice and then ruin the rest of my playtime by not being able to go into Whiterun and talk to, I don't know, like...
Okay, well, this is...
Does that make sense?
I'm glad, actually, this is... I think we're getting into a bit more of an evaluation of how you view these games. So what I would say to you is that's exactly the point.
I know.
You're not supposed to think that way at all. You're not supposed to ever see everything. You're not supposed to ever see every dialogue. Like, that's what I always thought the Bethesda games were good at versus other games that kind of don't... Which is my issue with a lot of massive, often open world games these days, is that they don't do it in the Bethesda way of making you feel like it's okay to go anywhere and have your own journey and not sort of worry about everything else so much.
That's
whereas all these other
open... Breath of the Wild does so well.
Totally.
That sentence you just said is Breath of the Wild through and through.
If you're gonna be that, if you're gonna have that scope and scale, make it so that I feel relaxed and comfortable playing it the way I want to. I feel like some other games these days, everything is supposed to be grabbing your attention, and it's like boy, you got so much content to go through, you're never going to leave this game. Whereas, the Bethesda formula was just fairly straightforward. And I feel like there's mechanics in those games that you don't have to bother with if you don't want to.
It's true. I think it is like a...
And it was really funny me hearing you say that Skyrim is too big there, because it's like, it's not to me. Like, there's nothing to that game to me. There's almost nothing to it.
I think it's more that it's... I have like 8 save files and they all have different allegiances, and this one's a vampire, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to see all that.
Nobody has to be that level of dork.
For sure. I played all of Fallout 4. I say all of it. I played through to the end, in heavy air quotes, and it was fine. It was fine. It was
by then
wasn't up to par with games.
They had definitely lost some of the magic by then with 4. 4 was just kind of like a whoopee cushion. It's like that formula was exciting in 2006 and 11.
Yeah, for sure.
And for a lot of folk, obviously Morrowind before that. Jeez, it is such a weird one, the Bethesda thing. Which is why it's so interesting to see what they'll do with it with Starfield.
And we can play it now.
Yeah,
so
we will play it.
I will play it for sure, because I want to be... I say never. Fallout 4 I think I got that day one. I did. Yeah, I did. I got that day one. So I was gaming heavily at the time of release. Skyrim and Fallout 3 and New Vegas I'd missed, so they were harder to go back to.
Of course, 3 as well, yeah.
And the only reason that I played Skyrim for 25 hours was the PS4 remastered. You know what I mean? And I was playing games at that point. And it's not to say I didn't have some fun while playing it, but I just there's only so many similar looking dungeons I can walk into and hack away at Draugrs for the 17th time.
I do think it has... The formula did really run its course. After... When 4 hit, it was like... I think a lot of people, without admitting it, they kind of were on the same... And even me, it was just kind of like... You didn't want to admit that this was a bit boring now. It's like, I know, great, Bethesda's back. Hey, Bethesda... Giving us the same thing again, great, but it's actually more simplified. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah,
but it's like, okay, there's more, there's better looking things these days. There's sort of more interesting mechanics out there, etc., etc.
I feel like with Fallout 4, for example, there's better shooters, there's better looking games, there's better games with dialogue options,
better written games.
There's better, I mean, like they're you could argue the benefit for like something like Fallout 4 is that they are all in one package. That's good. A lot of these games tend to separate those things out. Like, a dialogue option game is Telltale, but it doesn't have, shooting mechanics or an open world or something like that. So, but I think the biggest comparison at the time was obviously to Witcher 3, which just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, we keep... I mean, how many times are we going to say Witcher 3 blew Skyrim, Fallout 4 out of the water? I mean, it's just such a...
It's just such a true statement. I
don't
even think it's opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know
it's almost subjective, really. It kind of is apples and oranges, but...
Well, maybe not to Skyrim, if you compare it to Skyrim, but it did come out later than Skyrim. But Fallout 4 was so Bethesda formula and not moved on from Skyrim, Fallout 3, New Vegas as much. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's why the comparison was a bit more apt, even though they are two.
I think Starfield will be influenced by other games. I cannot see them keeping it in quite the same formula as much. I would be shocked. And even in terms of Outer Worlds, Obsidian, who actually were contracted to make Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
Which is, most people say, of the games of these ilk, is their favourite.
The best one.
Which is hilarious mainly because they, in many people's opinion, have better writing. Which is a large part of what these games are about. And they will say that they live and die by their dialogue options and how that all plays out. And for as refined as Obsidian made that formula with Outer Worlds, and I did enjoy the 10 hours that I had with it, it does come back to the same reason that you have, where I'm just like, I'm not that interested by this formula anymore.
And I kind of, it was the sort of slightly dated element of the games at the point in time that I was jumping into them that sort of initially put me off of something like Skyrim. I came to that. Actually, I didn't come to that too late. Because it was 2011?
The original release of it was 11. And then
I played it in early 2013.
Must have been the
PS3 version, which was notoriously the worst version.
Oh god, it didn't run well at all.
No. So that definitely, but it
didn't stop me at the time though.
It wasn't far out of the conversation, relative in comparison to some of the other games that I missed at the time, like BioShock and all that.
Well, I think that was pretty much the peak. It had peaked, and you were kind of riding that cresting wave.
Yeah, I was riding the downhill
All
slope.
I can say is that for me, obviously, the early games have a really special place in my heart, and I have massive nostalgia. I just think from 2006 through 11, Bethesda were the kings at the time of knowing how us Westerners wanted to be immersed in fantasy worlds, and they tapped into that well at the time, and I'm really glad they did, and I'm glad for that experience at the time, but I'm quite self-aware about saying at the time.
Yeah,
so
I think that's a very important distinction.
Yeah,
they're not the same company as they were. Fallout 76 kind of proved that, and their reaction to all that. I'm glad
16 times the detail.
It just works. Does it, Tad? Does it really?
And we'll try not to retread over these same things in the next episodes. Right, what's next?
Whatever you wish. Whatever you wish.
I think we have covered kind of all my
the main ones. I've got a couple of like funny little things.
Oh, well, actually, I've probably got one last main one.
Go for a main one, then we'll do
and
a wrap up.
This is one that I really, really hope. I don't even know why I'm saying this because I know it's never going to happen. I would love for these to be remade.
Okay.
You know, like a Isildur sword in the fires of.
Isildur!
I'm saying this all wrong. Reforge the sword, because this is like a holy grail for sure. And it just talk about frustrating game companies. Oh my god, Half-Life. Come on.
I've got that on my list as well. It was one of my wee sort of rundown ones. Yeah, 100%.
Like, I mean, let's not even think about the fact that is there ever even going to be a 3? It doesn't seem like it.
Oh, I don't know.
So if there isn't, can you at least remake them? Can you do something, please?
Well, I mean, have you seen some of like the fan made ones? Like, there's apparently a fan made one.
I think I have actually.
One. No. It looks incredible. There's a bit of jank to it because it's a mod, but the promise is there, and that just was like, the world looks so interesting, and
totally,
and the gameplay looks fun, but there's just that level of kind of datedness. I've not played one.
I mean, that's a really old game.
That's a really old game.
98, I think it came out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've played some of 2. And
Same.
Just struggled my way through it.
Yeah, no, I
for a good couple hours.
I actually got stuck because I had the orange box, a good long time ago when it came out on the Xbox, which I think I had played Portal 1 when they gave it away on Steam before I got the orange box.
I'd played both Portals before I got the orange box.
Yeah.
I actually got the orange box, so I had a PlayStation 3 copy of Portal 1 because I had Portal 2.
Yeah.
I had it on my laptop, but I wanted it on my PlayStation.
Absolutely. And I'm very thankful that I managed to Portal and 1 and 2 was definitely made its way through. I'm glad that they stuck and were able to stick. It's just really bittersweet when it comes to Half-Life, because just like what you said, just such interesting worlds.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I'm sure that if they were to be modernized, they would be absolute knockouts in terms of character performances and fidelity and cool gameplay elements and all the rest of it. It would just be.
But you think though that Valve would do it? I mean, whether they will or not, but they should. They should. But they come out with a VR Half-Life game,
right?
That like 4 people have the headset for. So it's a.
Is it on PlayStation VR?
No.
Right.
No, it's
okay.
the Steam Deck. It's like the Steam VR.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, the hope is that they license that out for PSVR 2, is like a rumour.
Mm-hmm.
That Half-Life Alyx will be on the next PSVR. But, I mean, come on. Like, you're making a VR game in the Half-Life? I mean, that's awesome, and I know it's apparently incredible. But come on. Just... You clearly put so much money and time into this game that not many people have access to, yet you're not gonna that would cost them nothing in Valve money to make Half-Life 1 and 2 and then the episodes remastered in one collection.
It's so deeply frustrating, and it really makes me quite. This is symbolic and quite unnecessary. But I'm every time I see Gabe Newell, I actually get angry. He annoys me so much, just based on this.
We're going to release the portable PC.
What is their problem? Why are they so? It feels as if they're doing it on purpose just to be annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know fully the ins and outs of Valve.
Yeah, I'm not sort of clocked into the Steam community, And
I'm sure all of those hyper Steam nerds will have lots to say about this. Well, here's the reason why, and here's why they're such a great company, or whatever. I don't really know much about that culture.
No.
But to me, at least, in terms of games that I want to play, and that just coming at it from a holistic gamer perspective, it is probably the most frustrating thing for me ever. In gaming, and
I'd say it's probably the one that I want to,
because when even EA because even EA, right, they are finally getting round to Skate and Dead Space. Well done, EA. Thanks. You
listened.
You're annoying anyway. You take your time and sometimes you botch things, but at least you're doing it. That's all we ask. Just try, okay? Because obviously we would even want probably remastered Portal Collection and stuff like that. Or heaven forbid a Portal 3 as well.
Portal 3, the thing is, Portal 1 and 2, they hold up.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. No, but don't even remaster. Put them on the PlayStation 4 and 5. Just how about that?
Don't even need to touch them.
Don't touch them.
Just make them run.
Just put them on the store and I will buy them again.
We would play them, yeah.
I don't want to plug my PS3 in to play Portal.
I totally would play through those games fully again. Oh, absolutely.
100%. No question.
As someone who is famous for not going back and replaying and all the rest of it, those are games that I definitely would.
They're just infinitely replayable.
Those are perfect examples of what I try and drill down to most weeks on this podcast in terms of there is a game where they have just thought about the mechanic and the immersion surrounding that mechanic. That's it. Go. That's all you need. There's nothing else to it. But look how incredible and timeless those games are, right? You don't need all these other things.
They're just perfect games. But it's not like Portal 1 is less perfect than 2 because it's a bit shorter. That being as short as it is with that kind of almost twist, I mean, it is a twist at the end, to lead up to a more substantial Portal 2 is perfect. Do you know what I mean? They don't need to be the same length.
Oh, totally. They executed the whole thing perfectly. And I actually kind of feel bad that Portal 2 doesn't make it into my top 10.
I think it did for me.
There's just too many other games, obviously.
It is my namesake on my PSN. I am Portal Boy 1.
Well, there you go.
Don't add me. Or add me. I don't care. It's like 4 of you listening, so
maybe I'll make an executive decision and make it number 11. Right
number
now.
11. There you go.
Say that it's 11.
It's number 11.
It is number 11. Okay.
Shall we quickfire around the ending?
Yeah. What time are we at?
1 minute. 1 minute 20.
Oh,
We've been
wow.
going for 1 minute to 1 hour 20. Just now. So I've got a couple of little funny ones to finish off with. just playing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on PS3 and thinking that it was a good game. That was.
So that's interesting. It's like regret. You regret playing it because it's bad.
The game. In hindsight,
yeah,
I was a stupid kid. I just love Spider-Man, so I was like, new Spider-Man? Is it going to be like the Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube?
Well, for me, that one would have been Spider-Man 3 movie game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played a bunch of that. Yeah, it was not good.
That was a bad one.
Not good.
Just buying Watch Dogs Legion.
I did warn you.
You did.
Well, without saying much.
It was on sale. I got it like super cheap, and it was the
Fair
PS5
enough,
version. Yeah. That probably should have been an omen as to why. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was a bad game. Not getting Rocket League with PS Plus.
Oh, right, yeah.
The skill ceiling's like too high for Rocket League now.
That is for both of us, yeah.
Why?
No,
that was before our days of just adding everything that was on PS Plus to our library. Stupid.
That was a proper zeitgeist moment that we missed.
100%. And I know it's still super popular, but it's just too hard.
We would lose every game.
Every game. We had one evening. I had it on Switch.
That's all we need.
One evening of like laughing and having fun. Like,
that was all we need.
Like split screen.
Forever in our
And then my final one that I'll finish off with is not getting that Skate 3 Platinum. Because I've tried, even since the servers are back on, still can't get them. I'd need to organise 6 people with PS3s and accounts to join me to get a Skate 3 Platinum. And
it's not
to be honest, is that a regret? Well, I mean, I regret not getting it, but the servers were shut off when I did play it. Okay, maybe it's an annoyance. Stop putting multiplayer trophies in your games unless it's an exclusively multiplayer game, because your servers aren't going to be around forever.
Well, actually, I think that's an interesting point. I think because many games used to do that, where single player games, the best example I can think of is BioShock 2, where they actually tried to shoehorn multiplayer modes into their games just because it was booming so much.
Yeah,
when they really shouldn't have at the time. I actually think there should be a totally clear dividing line between what are you making? Okay, you're making a single player experience. Great, that is what it is. Don't put. And I'm glad that actually the likes of Naughty Dog made that decision. They were like, well, we're going to make just a full on separate thing for The Last of Us multiplayer.
Using that engine, using the combat, but it's not like an add-on. I know it worked in Last of Us and sort of the older Uncharted. We had fun in Uncharted 4 for a period of time, but not like a drastically long time.
Well, there's certain ones where it makes more sense, more shootery games, I guess. But there's a time when single-player games that came out just had tacked on multiplayer, and I was like, this is completely pointless and terrible. I seem to remember a Tomb Raider one was one at once.
Yeah. Was
it one of the newer ones? Or was it... I don't know. There was just some really tragic examples of that, but yeah.
Before,
good tangent
speaking
there.
Of skateboarding multiplayers, you see that Skater XL has multiplayer now?
Oh.
You can just free skate with your
free
friends.
Skate, okay.
Which is quite interesting. However, they also have optimized it in the update, and it now runs at a higher frame rate.
Oh.
I don't know. I'd need a Digital Foundry video to tell me if it's exactly 60 frames per second, but it is definitely smoother. And it works. The multiplayer works. They launched it, and it works. Their mod browser works properly now.
Well,
it's just like, well done. Please talk to your community more, because nobody knows what else is going on. But anyway, that's all.
Well, it's one of those things. If that still ever goes down to a rather cheap price or is given away on Plus, I will play that multiplayer with you.
Yeah, nice. That's my regrets.
Cool. Well, I've just got a few more things I would like. Just honorable mentions. Okay. I know there's certain types of games that we've not even brought up at all, and it kind of is that like these are the types of things that we are just not into at all, and they're basically not worth mentioning because I don't think we can give any credence to them. And that's things like fighting games, Soul Calibur, etc.
Yep, it's not my thing.
Different world. Obviously, we mentioned RTSs, JRPGs. online stuff that's really kind of they've got their own hardcore
like MMORPGs,
Quake, even Star Citizen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, just totally, you know, those are almost like their own entities.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there's a bunch of ancient games that they are ancient, so we'll never play them. I just thought I would mention that in case there has been something that somebody out there is listening and thought, oh, you've not mentioned, or whatever.
You've not mentioned Banjo and Kazooie.
Well, you know, again, that's something like
I have it downloaded on my Xbox.
I
don't know if I'm going to play it though.
Well, exactly, it's another one of those, isn't it? But in terms of genuine ones for me that are left, two things. So one of those is basically any highly rated Metroidvania with a nice art style. The thing is, right, I do enjoy them from time to time, and I think again this is something we spoke about on one of the previous episodes. I have a quota, and that was filled recently by Ori.
Okay.
Like I totally get that Hollow Knights and Celeste are probably magnificent games. I just my quota's been filled.
Celeste is different. I'd say Hollow Knight and Ori are closer.
Totally, yeah.
Celeste is.
Yeah.
Celeste
I suppose more that.
Celeste is a platformer.
Okay, to be more broad, then, sort of
2D.
retro modern 2D platformers.
Totally fine.
I do enjoy them.
Yep.
But I don't want to burn out on them. So I'm very selective.
Fair.
With. I don't know, something about one has to really grab me in terms of its style or something, or the certain mechanics. So obviously Ori and Guacamelee were the ones that did it for me, but
yeah,
what can I say? Maybe one day for
that
these.
was a nice slap sound on the table.
Oh yeah, that'll be in there. I might play Hollow Knights. It's on Game Pass, you know. I think Celeste is as well, is it?
Yep.
So there you go. And the very last one, which I think is actually quite a good curtain closer.
Oh, curtains are closed for the noise outside, yes.
And this is also one that, yep, probably not going to play the originals because they are now just a bit too PS2-y and all the rest of it. And I hope that they do eventually do a new one that isn't some sort of online platform and ruins it, etc., etc. Splinter Cell.
Yeah, it's fair.
Splinter Cell, because it's probably the ultimate tactical stealth game. And I think I probably would have, if I was a bit older when they came out, I would have got into them because I really liked, you know, the OG Rainbow Six games and I like my stealth. So that's really it, you know.
You can then just enjoy X Defiant when that comes out free to play.
Well, I definitely won't.
I'm going to try it. It's free, so I'm going to try it. Because
what is it again?
It's just a COD multiplayer clone.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't need that.
FPS.
If I wanted to play that, I'll play Warzone every once a month.
That's fine. That's fine.
So,
well, I'm glad we got to do this episode again. It wasn't as my worry was not today, but my worry is if we just did this after we lost the first episode, that it was going to be like, same joke, punchline.
Oh no,
you know,
no, I think we gave it enough of a buffer.
Yes, it was enough time that we were able to actually get some slightly different points actually brought up with it. I'll tell you what I've not regretted: this lovely, comfortable setup that we've got just now. I don't know about yourself.
I thought it was all right. I was getting quite uncomfortable with how warm it was getting.
My boom arm, maybe, is what I'm saying I don't regret, because this thing is great.
It's pretty funny. I do enjoy that, just seeing it in action.
It's great.
I might get one eventually.
I think the whole thing was like £30.
Because it was actually slightly uncomfortable sitting like
Fair.
this cranked
I get that.
the whole time. And yeah, my goddamn flat just gets so warm so easily. Oh.
But if we both had one of these, it means that we can kind of set up in more locations easier.
Yeah.
Because we don't need like so.
We'll look into it again.
For those who can't see me just now, I'm moving it back and forth. And what I don't realise, it's like coming through it's like... and it's just been the whole episode of squeaking, but I don't think so.
Pretty silent to me.
This silence here that you're hearing. Oh, there was a little bit. Anyway,
That's enough of that.
That's enough. I'll stop that.
Right then, let's end the episode.
I need my lunch. That's what I need. So
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We very much appreciate it if you made it all the way to the end. I'm going to go home and play some more Splitgate, and you're going to put your PlayStation on after I leave and set it down.
I will start to download it, yes, just because it sounds like an interesting thing to try.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Check us out on the socials. New episodes every second Wednesday at midday. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.